Welcome to the Rockabye Revenue Podcast with me, Abby Watson. I'm a mum of 4 and a business strategist, and I train people to become hypnobirthing teachers. In the last decade, I've built a thriving baby business that grew beyond my wildest dreams. This podcast is for you if you run a business or dream of running a business in the birth and baby industry. You want to change lives whilst making more money. I'm talking about creating sustainable income whilst being present for the people that matter most. I believe for our baby businesses to have the impact we desire, we must be rewarded. On this podcast, expect me to share actionable strategies without the jargon. I've been where you are. I've built a business while raising 4 little ones, and now I'm here to help you turn your passion into profit while creating the life you've always dreamed of. So let's get started. Hello, my lovely. I am here with another episode of the Rockabye Revenue Podcast, and oh my gosh, this episode, get ready for it. It is a juicy, strategy-packed episode, and quite frankly, I'm really excited to talk about this. And this is perfect for you if you've ever felt like, right, people are seeing my stuff, you know, they're seeing my social media, they're seeing my website, they're coming to my taster events, whatever, but not as many as I want are actually biting my hand off to use my services. So people are seeing your stuff, but not as many people as you would like are biting your hand off to join, to come to your thing. So that's what I'm talking about today. I am talking about something that will get them saying, yes, 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 1,000,000 times yes, I want your service. Now, what I'm talking about today is such a simple tweak to your marketing that I know will have such an impact on your business. And I'm going to start off by really talking about why this slight, kind of like, what's the word? Like this slight tweak is so worth your time. So worth your time. And let me tell you, when you get into the habit of it, it is going to make your marketing so much easier. Who wants a bit of that? I know I do. So yes, we're talking about making our content much more impactful. When I talk about content, I'm talking about any of our like marketing materials, like social media, blogs on websites, anything that you produce for potential clients to have a good look at, to get a feel for whether you are right for them. So automatically, when we think of content, we often think about the stuff that we post on social media. And so much that I'm talking about today will be super relevant for your social media marketing, but absolutely it can be transferred to your website, can be transferred to when you're doing events, when you're creating flyers, anything basically. And what I am talking about today is the importance of not only having information, but having inspiration. And I heard someone phrase this as inspiration, not information, on a podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is absolutely it. People are going to bite your hand off when they feel inspired, not necessarily when they are feeling informed. And so often, baby business owners like yourself make the mistake of just posting info on their social media, having a website jam-packed with information. Okay, so what might that look like? Well, it might look like having an Instagram profile that has got lots of posts that sound a bit like this. 3 tips for a better birth. 4 reasons why oxytocin is your best friend. Information, giving them facts. Hypnobirthing is great because really important posts to have now and again. But if all your content is like that, you are missing a trick. And I am going to today help you really make those little tweaks that, like I said, are going to have people like 1,000,000% yes, I am booking on. Now, I have been told quite frequently by others that I'm actually really great at this. I'm really good at creating content that is inspiring, that evokes emotion. And do you know what? It's something that I've always done in my business, and I can't even tell you why. Like, nobody told me to do it. It just always felt the easiest thing for me to do. And also, it felt like if I was on the other end of my marketing, what would I want to see? You know? So a lot of people do tell me that my posts are very inspiring, my content on this podcast are very inspiring. And I tell you what, when people actually come and train with me to be a hypnobirthing teacher, they'll often say, oh, it was that one thing that I heard you say and it really spoke to me. I really felt seen. It really resonated because of X, Y, Z. You know, people are booking my course based on the fact that they've been emotionally connected because of the inspiration, you know? And that's what I'm going to teach you how to do today. And believe me, it's easy and you can do it. And you can do it even if you haven't got your own story to tell about using services similar to your own. You know, because some people will say, well, Abby, like, I see your inspiring content and you talk about how hypnobirthing changed your life. I didn't actually use hypnobirthing, so how could I write a post like that? Well, you can write one without having used it yourself, and I'll talk about how later on. But firstly, let me tell you why this is so blooming important. Well, did you know, and I can't quite believe this, that the average person scrolls on social media 300 feet a day? In terms of when they're like scrolling down, if you added the length of that scroll, it would be 300 feet. That is as tall as the Statue of Liberty. That is how much the average person is scrolling. Why is that relevant to us? Well, if we are part of their scroll, we want to be one of those posts, one of those bits of content that they remember, that stands out to them. And let's face it, it's not usually an infographic, 7 facts about XYZ that we're remembering at 2 a.m. in the morning. It's that post, it's that reel, it's that thing that really spoke to us, that really made us feel something and made us feel like hopeful and more alive and moved, you know? Think about your own scrolling habits. And if I asked you to remember like 5 things you saw on social media yesterday, no doubt many of those things that you would be able to recount would be those inspiring pieces, you know? And quite often when we are creating inspiring content, it is more of a story. And I've said before on this podcast, and it's something that I always tell my students too, that stories are known to be 200 times more memorable than facts alone. Stories stick. And we want our marketing to be sticking with people, don't we? We want people to be remembering us, okay, to be forming a connection with us, because they are so much more likely to use our services when they feel that connection, okay? Now, as well as that, it is said, and this was a study, the study proved this, a study by Harvard, found that 95% of purchasing decisions are subconscious. You know, they're subconscious, they're not necessarily rational, and they are usually based on emotion. Okay, so emotion makes people buy. So when we are inspiring people, we are inspiring them to feel something which makes them so much more likely to purchase. And that's what we're talking about today. Not just having, followers that follow our page because there's some useful information, people that read our blog because there's useful information. But actually, people that follow us or read our website and take the action to book our services, because we are not an information hotline, are we? We are not tourist information. We have got a service to sell. We need to make money so we can continue to do this and have a blooming great life. Simple as that, right? So this stuff matters so much. And let's face it, if all other brands just focused on information, oh my gosh, let's take the example of, I don't know, a random cleaning product, a bathroom cleaner, or no, let's say a kitchen cleaner, something that cleans your surfaces and that. Okay. Now, can you imagine if that brand, let's choose a brand, Zaflora. So can you imagine if Zaflora, in all their marketing, so their social media, the stuff they show on TV, whatever, simply talked about things like, Zaflora has 84 ingredients in. Here's some information about the ingredients, as opposed to showing us kitchens they've never seen a spag bol, glimmering work surfaces, someone, looking like they're living their best life, having a sniff of the surfaces and it smells so beautiful. Welcoming their friends into their beautiful, sparkling home. What's going to make us buy? The second, yeah? The second example, the beautiful home, the kitchen that's never seen a spag bol, not the list of all the ingredients, not the 24 ways you could use the flora. We are looking for ourselves to be aiming for something, to be inspired, to have that too, okay? So this stuff is so important. We have such an important audience. You listen to this podcast because you're a baby business owner, or you want to be. So perhaps you run hypnobirthing classes, or you're a doula, or you're a baby massage instructor, or you have a sleep consultancy business. You work with parents-to-be or fairly new mums. And why is inspiring content so blooming important to them? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they are at this transitional time in their life. You know, there's no bigger transition than becoming a parent or adjusting to new parenthood. Their whole world has changed. Their identity has shifted. Okay. And they are looking for connection at that time. They are looking for almost like a glimmer of how they can be, how they can feel. And let's also face it, that our audiences as expectant parents or new parents are particularly susceptible to information overload. You know? They're getting it at the photocopier at work. They're getting it on the school run. They're getting it from their mother-in-law. They're blooming definitely getting it online. Information and to-dos thrown at them from every blooming angle, and it is overwhelming. I know it because I've been there. Still am there, you know? Information is blooming overwhelming, and we are not short of it these days. So whilst I'm not saying never do an information post, what I'm saying is actually your potential clients are really gonna interact with posts where they feel seen, where they feel hope, where they feel something that they can aspire to, something that gives them a glimmer of joy. Because let's face it, if you're up at 2 a.m, one boob out, feeding the baby, and you hop onto social media, do you want to see an infographic? Or actually, do you want to see a really inspiring post of someone who has been where you are and has shifted and gone to where they want to go? Ideally, with some pastel fonts and some gentle piano music in the background. Please tell me I am not alone. I'm not wanting to see an infographic. I'm not wanting to see 100 reasons why I should do X, Y, Z. I am wanting to feel something, you know? Because we often go onto social media like subconsciously looking for connection, subconsciously looking to feel better, looking for joy, looking for hope. We're not going on looking for facts. Okay. So what is the difference between an information post and an inspiration post? Well, there's not that much difference, because in actual fact you can be giving information but in an inspiring way, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But what we're really talking about, if we put it really simply, is posts where you are just giving people facts, reasons, info, as opposed to showing them what is possible, taking them on a journey, giving them a hint at what things could be like, giving them a mindset shift, or perhaps it's giving them some validation, you know, from someone who's almost like that big sister, you know. That's what we're talking about. And we're going to go for a quick break in a moment, but before we do so, I'd like you just to take a moment, or do this later, and think about your marketing, you know. So maybe you think about your social media account, and maybe you have a look, and I want you to have a little mini audit. Okay, look at your last 20 posts. How many of those were information as opposed to inspiration? Because if you find that simply one or two were inspiration, there is your nudge. There is your nudge to add more of the inspiring content. Because like we said earlier, It's that takes people to the checkout, you know? It's that makes people so set on booking your service, okay? Not the other person that also offers a similar service. They feel connected to you. They already have this emotional connection, okay? So if you look at your marketing and you're like, oh yeah, actually, Abby's right, it's mostly information. Well, you are going to love the second half of this podcast because I am going to be telling you how to do it. So I'll see you in a jiffy. Guess what? My popular free training is back. Could you become a hypnobirthing teacher? This is for you if you've ever thought about taking the plunge and training as a hypnobirthing teacher. Over 3 days, I will teach you everything you need to know about starting in this wonderful world. Leave feeling clear, inspired and motivated to support other people to have incredible births. All you need to do is come over to Instagram at loveyourbirth_training, DM me free training, and you will be pinged all the information right back. I hope to see you there. Hello and welcome back. So, we were talking about, before the break, why writing and creating more inspirational content in our marketing is going to push your clients or potential clients to actually book your services, how important this is. And I was talking about how actually it can be a lot easier. Getting me to write a post that is all information, oh my gosh, it's going to take me ages. Because I'm going to feel the need to, and I know I shouldn't, check that what I've put I totally agree with and is accurate, etc, etc. Whereas if I'm writing something that is more from the heart, that is more about a personal feeling or something my clients experienced, it's so much easier. And there's no need to check things are right or wrong. So it's quicker, it's easier, and it has much more impact. And let's just play a game for a moment. And I'm going to give you 2 posts, okay? And I want you to have a think about which one you are more likely to save, you know? So let's take an example from a perspective of perhaps it's a sleep consultant, okay? So A is a post that is called Cortisol Patterns in Infants, and it's 10 slides talking all about this, okay? Or B, a post again from a sleep consultant, I was losing my mind until this one bedtime habit saved my sanity. A or B? Yeah, it would be B every time, you know? We connect with B, we feel like, oh, I need this, it's going to inspire us, it's going to give us some hope, it feels more personable. We are so much more likely to go for B. It feels less overwhelming too, it feels bite-sized. So this is what we're going to talk about, how you can do too. So hopefully you've had a little reflect on whether you are doing this already. Now, if you're doing this already, please still keep listening. Hopefully it'll give you lots of juicy ideas for how to do more of it. But if you're not doing it enough, I'm going to really show you how you can do it. So firstly, inspiring content is all about thinking about your client's desired identity. You know, inspiring content speaks to that desired identity. What do they want to see themselves as? So perhaps if we're talking about an expectant mum, perhaps she wants to see herself as that person that approaches birth calmly, that person that makes time for herself. Maybe if we're talking about a mom, that person that, calmly looks after her baby whilst also finding time for her and her partner too. That parent that feels organised. That parent that has friends to talk to at 11 p.m. when they're up, So you're speaking to their desired identity. Where do they want to be? So take a moment to really think about potential clients that you are speaking to in your marketing. Where do they want to be? So if I think about my background in teaching hypnobirthing courses, where did my clients want to be? Well, they wanted to feel calm about their birth. They wanted to ditch the fear. They didn't want to be, scaring themselves with another program about birth that left them petrified. They didn't want to be dreading it. They wanted to be looking forward to it. They wanted to feel, connected to their partner. They wanted to feel that person that was telling their friends about their birth and not being traumatized by just recounting the story. That was where they wanted to be. Where does your client want to be? What is inspiring to them? Because what might be inspiring to us might be very different to what is inspiring to our dream client. And all marketing that is geared to the dream client is the best marketing. Because ultimately it's not about us and our likes and our dreams. It's about the client, So we firstly need to think about where the client wants to be. What is their desired identity? Okay. So once we've thought about that and we've got this clear idea of where the client wants to be, what's going to actually inspire them, there's some simple ways that we can create content, and I'm going to give you some real clear ideas that ideally will leave you able to create some quick, easy content on the back of what we're talking about today. So firstly, you could create content that is in a kind of like a before and after style, okay? Don't call it before and after, okay? Because again, we see so much of that, it's easy to scroll on by, isn't it? Okay. But what I'm talking about is that the style of the content is in the style of kind of talking about where someone was to where they went. That's inspiring, isn't it? When that's the transformation that... just knocked my drink over nearly. When that is the journey you want to go on, So in my own business, when I'm training hypnobirthing teachers, I really think about that in my marketing. I really think about how the person that I'm talking about, can't get my words out today. The person that I'm talking to is someone that has this love of birth, would love to teach birth, but really they aspire to have a life that is more free. They don't want to be that person that's having to juggle a 9-to-5. They don't want to be that person that is leaving their baby at a nursery at the crack of dawn to pick them up early evening. They want to be a present parent and earn money, So when I share my stories around that and stories from my clients, that is so, so inspiring to my potential clients. Okay. So in terms of how you could do those kind of before and after style pieces of content, it could be from your own experience. So if you are someone that needed a service like yours and it changed things for you, you can talk about where you were and where you went. That's inspiring. But it doesn't have to be you. And in actual fact, you don't always want it to be you. You want it to be other people, your clients. So you could talk about things like your client that went from petrified of birth to planning a home birth, even though the previous her would have thought that was crazy. You know? You tell that story. Or maybe you run baby classes and you tell a story of how you had a really bad experience at a baby class and you vowed to never go to another again. And now you have got so many connections from all the other baby classes that you did end up going to, you know? Or maybe you were the person that longed to be able to go out for a drink on an evening with a friend. But you couldn't because your child, your toddler, could never sleep without you. And you made a shift and now you can. That might be useful for a sleep consultant. So telling these before and after stories really can inspire people if it's the new identity, the new shift that they want. So that's one way of doing it. Second way could be writing some honest reflections. So rather than an information post or an about me post, you are writing something that feels so from the heart. So it might be a post that's like, the real reason I spend my life talking about birth. Or it could be the moment I realised that I don't just entertain babies for an hour, you know, and it's talking about the deeper impact of your work. So really going into those stories that show why you do what you do. And not just the kind of basics of, oh, I think women need to know about their birth choices. What's the bigger thing? You know, the real reason is the real reason the fact that you want to inspire your own daughters. You want to show your own children that they don't just have to do what everybody else does. So that's a second way of doing it. A third way could be something that's a real mindset shift. Okay. So this might be speaking to where they are now, okay, but reframing it and showing them that they are seen and actually what they're doing is absolutely fine, you know? So an example for this, if you are someone that educates people about birth, it could be, you are not naive by hiding from everybody else's birth stories. You know, you're speaking to where they're at now, and then you are going to give them some reassurance from why actually they might be quite wise doing that. And then maybe you give them a little shift and say, but it's not all birth stories, you know? Or maybe it's something that really speaks to parents, you know? You are not selfish leaving your baby for half an hour while you have a bath. Talking about this whole like putting your own oxygen mask on before you put your own on, okay? So really speaking to where they're at now, but giving them this shift in mindset that makes them feel seen, but also inspires them and makes them feel good, okay? And then the final way is illustrating to them where they want to be, okay? So taking them on a journey to where they want to be. So this might be something like, picture this. So it might start with, picture this. So it might be, if we're talking about birth, it could be, picture this. you're walking into the hospital early in labour and you feel, okay. Or it could be, picture this, you wake up to your baby chirping away in their crib and you realise that you haven't seen them 17 times overnight. Or picture this, you say to your toddler, see you in the morning, and you really mean it. So you're taking them where they want to be. Picture this, you've got a WhatsApp group filled with like-minded mums because of that baby massage club. You joined baby massage club. That's not what you call it. Baby massage class. You joined last year. You know, you take them to where they want to be. You get another one could be, picture this. You're returning to work knowing that you made so many magical memories with your baby. So that might be good for you if you run baby classes, experiences, things like that. Okay. So take a moment to really think about how can you illustrate in a really inspiring, positive way where they want to be and how your thing will help them get there. Okay. Now, if you are sat there thinking, oh my gosh, my mind is going to go totally blank with this, worry not. Like, we have technology these days that can help. So you could go over to ChatGPT and you could put in, I want to create some inspiring content for my social media. My business is this. My ideal clients are women who blah, blah, blah. So you're giving ChatGPT some context and you are saying, I want to create a reel that is B-roll with me setting up my class, and over the top is a statement that's one of those POV ones, POV. I want to create a POV that's inspiring, you know, that really speaks to mums that want to come to my classes and takes them to where they want to be, this new shift in identity. Give me 10 suggestions. You know, and your first lot of suggestions, you might be like, I like that one, don't like those. So you get the one that you like, you put it back in and you say, really like that, but my tone is much more friendly, humorous, down to earth. Can you make it more like that? And again, then you tweak it yourself as well. But there are ways that you can use simple free technology like ChatGPT to help you with this, okay? But believe me, you doing this will have so much impact in your business. Not only will it make things easier, but you will be getting those comments where people are like, oh my gosh, this spoke to me. I need this in my life. I can only ever book with you. You get me so much. You want to be that business owner, right? You want to be that baby business owner that is having those connections with aspiring clients. You want your marketing to be doing the legwork for you. You know, you want them to be feeling converted. And I hate that word, but you know, that they're taking that plunge, you know, that they're actually going to take action on booking your service because your marketing has spoken to them. So I really hope that has been useful today. It's my prediction that this will be a game changer for you, and I absolutely welcome you to share with me, like, when you do this, tag me in it. Would love that, you know? Let me know when you do this, and even better, let me know the impact it has. That makes my day no end, okay? So as a bit of an overview, because I know you might be listening in your car or as you're making breakfast, and you may not have had a pen and paper. So for a quick overview, we have been talking about why this is an absolute game changer. The fact that 95% of purchasing decisions are based on emotion tells us we need to be doing more of this. Okay. The fact that our clients specifically are at this real transformational time in their life tells us it's even more important to our clients. I let you know that it would be super useful to go onto your whatever marketing you do, whether it's social media, whether it's a blog, whether it's a podcast, whatever, and think about, where is my inspiring content? Am I doing this enough? So a bit of a mini audit. Okay, so go to your social media, go to whatever platforms you use and think, am I creating inspiring content? Okay, if you're doing loads of it, keep going. That's fabulous. Okay, if you're not doing any, I shared with you some quick ways of being able to do this. So before and after style posts without using before and after. So without actually titling it that, because it's a bit boring, but really, really showing people the transformation that your service brings. Honest reflections. So talking to them from the heart, about why you blooming care. A mindset shift. So validating what they are currently doing and reframing it in a way that shows that actually they're doing great. You see them, you hear them, they're doing great. And then finally, illustrate where they want to be. Picture this. So you could start your post with picture this. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be that, but that could be an easy way. So you're telling them the story of where they are going to be, like really specifically, So maybe, like I said, if you teach about birth, it's like a specific moment. Picture this. You're returning to work after maternity leave, raving about the birth of your baby. And people think you're bonkers. But actually, you can't wait to do it again. So speaking to where they want to be. Okay, so really hope that was useful. And if it was, do me a favour and share it with somebody that you know will benefit. So if you have any friends that are also in the baby business and they could really benefit from this little tweak in their marketing, please, please, please send them a message with the link, and hopefully it will help them have more success in their business too. Because my goodness, when we have more success, when other business owners have more success, we're impacting more lives. New parents, as parents to be, blooming need us. So let's get out there and change lives. I shall speak to you soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to Rockabye Revenue. I hope this episode has left you with some fresh ideas and bundles of motivation. If you enjoyed this episode, do make sure you click subscribe so you never miss an installment. And if you found this episode useful, I'd love you forever if you leave a 5-star review, helping this podcast reach the ears of more of the helpers in this world. And remember, keep changing lives. See you next time.